Night story. Brother, I'm from a small town called Zambrano in Bolivar, but since I was 20 I've been living in Barranquilla. The thing is, a few years ago I had a car, one of those old iron bola cars from the 90s that's tougher than any 2023 model. Every weekend I used to make door-to-door trips, leaving from Barranquilla to nearby towns along the Bosconia route, including El Carmen, Plato, Granada, and El Difícil. I'd usually go up to Bosconia Max because beyond that it gets hectic and there are always other cars doing trips. My routine was basically to drop off and pick up passengers along that route, then do the same on the way back until I returned to Zambrano, where I'd stay a day with my grandmother, then next day I'd make the trip back to Barranquilla with passengers who already reserved a spot. People who do these town-to-town trips always have lots of stories, especially considering the violent times in the past, but that's another story. What brings me here is something that still spins in my head, something that happened on one of those trips. I was coming back from Bosconia already with the road dark because that day I had to wait for a package and night caught me on the highway. After passing El Difícil, where I dropped off a young woman with her child, I ran into some commotion in a small village nearby. It was like a party because there was music, but the drunken people were basically halfway through their lives shouting over the noise. I couldn't understand what they were fighting about. I only saw two guys in the middle of the chaos. One was a fat guy with a shaved head, shirtless and holding a brick. The other was a young guy, maybe about 17 years old, holding a stick like one you'd use to kill pigs. Both wanted to hit an older man who was calmly sitting on a wooden bench at the back on a porch. People wouldn't let these two get close to the man, who just watched the situation carefully, serious and silent. Suddenly the old man stood up and walked toward the crowd. He said, "Man, leave it alone, they came for me anyway." At the end of the day, everyone faces their own demons. Everyone fell silent. "Wicked witch," was what the two men shouted at him. But from what others said, no one really understood what was going on. The old man went back to the bench, picked up his backpack, slung it over his left shoulder, then crossed the road and came up to my car. "Friend, I'm going to El Carmen, will you take me?" "Man, I don't go that far, especially not at this hour," I told him. "I'll pay you the fare and 10,000 pesos extra," he proposed. "What if I get into trouble?" I asked. "No, sir. Just tell those few people to move out of the way," I said. A woman, apparently the only sober one, told me, "Man, take him. It won't be a problem. It'll calm these people down." "Okay, but pay me now," I told the old man. He gave me the money and I let him get in. When we left that little area, it was almost 9 o'clock. The man sat in the back seat next to a young guy with a puppy on his lap. Ever since the old man got in, the puppy wouldn't stop growling like it sensed danger. Half an hour later, the man asked if he could switch seats with the woman next to me. "See, animals never liked me. I don't know why," he said. "Look, I'm beat. I want to rest a bit and this dog's making me nervous." The woman, very dignified, just looked at him out of the corner of her eye and told him she was getting off in Plato. If he wanted to switch, he'd have to wait because she couldn't sit in the back. Her back hurt. Anyway, to cut the story short, that old man turned out to be quite the talker. Between chatting and giving recommendations about medicinal plants, prayers and exercises to do on an empty stomach when the moon was in some position, I don't remember, he gained the woman's trust. When they got off at Plato, they even said goodbye, laughing like old friends. The old man even wrote a prayer on a little piece of paper and gave it to her with his fists closed, saying some words. Then he got back in the car, this time in the front seat. The young guy with the dog got off and it was just me and the old man. Not even 5 minutes had passed when we were nearing a bridge, and the man was already snoring. That's when the weird stuff started. I kept my eyes on the road, driving slowly, careful of the bad condition of the road between Plato and El Carmen, which is also very dark. The old man was beside me, sleeping, but for some reason I felt like he was watching me. Sometimes I even felt his breath on my cheek, like when someone has rabies. I turned around because of the discomfort, but I just saw him asleep, face toward the window, meaning he wasn't looking at me. "Hello? Are you asleep?" I told myself, pinching my face, but nothing. I looked forward again, and at my side, I thought I saw the old man about 15 centimeters from me with his eyes wide open, watching me. But when I looked back, he was asleep. I didn't like it. I started driving much slower, thinking that sometimes you get drowsy while driving, start seeing crazy things, hallucinate even, and that's when accidents happen. But at that point, I couldn't take the pressure anymore. It was so real. The hot breath, the feeling of breath hitting my right cheek, those demon-like watchful eyes I caught from the corner of my eye. Worse yet, when I glanced at the passenger side windshield, I caught a quick reflection, not of the old man but of another figure. It looked like a horse's face. That was terrifying. It was the only time I looked at the old man and saw a shadow vanish instantly. An image came to my head. A man with a huge face, bloodshot eyes, and a forehead full of knots like kids with welts from being hit. I don't know why I thought of that, but I felt like that was what was beside me. I couldn't keep driving, so I stopped, turned on the interior lights, and stared at the old man who was peacefully asleep. I stayed there for 5 minutes telling myself it wasn't real, that sleepiness was winning me over. I decided to get out and stretch my legs. I also took the chance to splash some water on my face, have a couple of cookies, and pee on the side of the road behind the car. While doing that, I saw the old man walk behind me, stop about 3 steps away, and stay there, body facing the roadside in the same position I was. "Are you going to pee?" I thought. "Hey, you're really sleepy," I said, trying to start a conversation to explain what was happening to me, but the man ignored me. "We're almost there." "I'm hungry," he said. His voice wasn't the same cheerful, calm voice from before. Now it sounded tired. "Yeah, we'll be there in about half an hour," I said. I hurried to finish, warning him, "You can't just stop on this road." When I got back to the car, I found the old man asleep in his seat. Then I freaked out because from where I was standing in front of the door, I saw the man standing behind the car, and at the same time I saw the old man sleeping inside. "This thing isn't for me, man," I said, and started the car and sped away. I wasn't messing around with dark roads or potholes. I was driving full speed, clutching the old man's shirt with my right hand trying to wake him, but he seemed like he was dead. A sack of bones, a doll that shook and cracked every time the car hit a bump. My worry grew, thinking the old man was dead and what I'd seen outside was his spirit. It wasn't just fear anymore, it was panic having a dead man in the car, a huge problem. At one point the car hit a pothole I didn't see. The old man lifted off his seat and hit the window hard. The glass didn't break, but that's when he woke up. "Don't mess with me. You're going to kill me," he shouted angrily. "Damn, you scared me," I said. "We're almost there," I told him. When I explained what had happened, he put his hands on his head and said, "I forgot to feed the animal." I looked at him weird and asked, "What?" "I work with a spirit," he said, "and I have to feed it after a job." He stayed quiet for a moment, then scratched his head and said, "Man, I messed up. It's the prayer I gave the woman, they're charging me for it." I don't know what I was thinking. "Good thing it didn't do anything to you because she gets angry," he said. "No wonder I dreamed I was dying," the old man said, blaming himself. But you know what the strangest thing was? I don't know if it was just my imagination, but when I picked up the old man, his clothes were really tight. Even the buttons on his shirt were stretched over his belly. But when I dropped him off at El Carmen, his clothes were loose. I tell you, I never picked up passengers at night on that road after 7 or 8 p.m. without warning them not to.